Hello and welcome to yet another PDO tutorial. In this tutorial, what we're going to be doing is when we click this update / edit link, we're going to now code the HTML form similar to the one above with a button to update the record. Now what this is going to do is it's going to go into here and it will update whatever field we want, whether it's the banner ID, the full name or the age. So to do that, what we need to do is we now need to open up our text editor and make a new page for the edit. So here I'm just using Notepad++, which you can download for free. So first we made this HTML form for the insert process. Then we coded this insert page, which is the insert process.php. And then after we done that, to make sure that we actually could see what was being updated, we went back onto the index page and we displayed everything that was on it. So if we go back here, we can see this part here, but it has to click to edit, and if I click that, you'll see it goes to edit.php with an ID of 1. So that's what we're going to start coding today. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new page and we'll just go to File, Save As, and we're going to save this as edit.php, and again just go up to all types, just so we know that it's going to save as edit.php, whereas if it's on normal text it will sometimes save as edit.php.text. So all types and edit.php. Now what we're going to do first is we need to obviously have our trusted doc type, but before that we need to do php session underscore start and then close the php. Now this is just what I do personally, but whether you want to do it or not is up to you. So now we're going to create the basic HTML tags. So first of all, we're going to create the doc type of HTML5. Now I'll just create these HTML tags. If you want, you can copy them from other pages that you've already made, like the index page, but I'm just going to do it again just to show you. So we'll put this edit page. Forgot the head tag. Now again, if you want a style sheet, you can put a style sheet in here as well, or which is using the link rel equals style sheet, and then type equals text / CSS, and then href equals wherever you have got it. But as just a local style sheet, I'm just going to use the style tag. So style is equal to type text / CSS. So I'll just keep that there just in case I want anything. And then now we go for the body tag. So now we have that. Now what we can do is we can start styling the PHP that will get the PDO that will get the information from the database and then display it in a HTML form. So first of all, what we're going to do is PHP and then close it again. So in here we're going to do the same as we did for the last one. So db username is equal to, and then whatever your username and password was, mine is just root, and then db password, and I don't have a password, but you may do if you're doing it on your web host. I'm doing mine on localhost, and the reason I'm doing it on localhost, in case anyone is wondering, is on localhost I can test a lot of PHP stuff before it goes on the server. It means as soon as I save it, I can go on to my browser and instantly see updates. Whereas if it's on web host, if the web host is slow or if the web host is down or has any downtime, then you have to wait for it. So this is what I do personally. If I'm building a website or if I'm just doing a bit of coding or tutorials like this, I always do it on localhost just for ease of access. Once the project is finished, it goes on to my online web host. So now we have to do the DB, and then again we're going to do what we done the last time. So it's new PDO, and then we're going to do DB username, DB password. Now in here again we're going to have to do MySQL host equal to localhost and semicolon. This tells the browser that we're looking for the database that's on the localhost, and then we're going to look for the DB name or database name of user info. Oh, sorry, of PDO. PDO is the database name, user info is the table. So now what we have to do is the same as we did for the bottom of the index page. We have to do result is equal to db hyphen right arrow prepare, and then we're going to prepare the statement. So what we need to do now is we need to select asterisk from user info. Now this is where we are getting a specific record. So we're selecting everything from user info where, and then user ID is equal to, and then get ID. Now the reason we do this is when we click on, if I go back here, when we click here, down the bottom left, you'll see it says localhost /PDO /edit.php ? ID equals. So that is a query string, and we use the get method to get the query string of ID. So if I clicked on link number 1 here, then if we looked up here, it would get all the information on whatever the ID is here. So for this case, if it was the first link, it would get just this line here, where the user ID is 1, the banner ID, Mark Forbes, and 23. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need to do another execution. So result hyphen right arrow execute. So now we've fully got all this information. So we have to do again what we've done the last time. We're going to have to do a while loop. So while, and then $row is equal to result, which we just done there with the select statement, fetch, and then in parenthesis we're going to do PDO 2 colons fetch ASSOC. So this will get all the data that we need. Now what we need to do again is make a variable. So user ID is equal to row user ID. Then again the same for banner ID, full name and age. So banner ID is equal to row banner ID, and then full name with a capital N, and then finally age is equal to row age, and that. Now this is the part where we're going to make the form, and we're going to do this form in an echo statement. So echo, and everything we put between here will be echoed onto the page. So first of all, if we just save that, and then when we click here, make sure it actually still works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a H2 tag of records for full name. So when we click here again, records for Mark Forbes, which is number 1. So when we, I don't know why that's highlighted, but so when we get the second one is Joe Blogs. So if I change this ID to 2, this part here will change to Joe Blogs. And there we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a H3 tag. Now you don't have to put these tags in, but I'm putting them in just to show you exactly what it is. And then just put update information. So below this is where we're going to put the form. So form name is equal to, then we'll call this web form, or we could call this maybe update form if you really wanted to, because this is the form we're going to use to update. So method is post, because we're going to be posting information through a HTTP request and into the server to change the database. And then action is equal to, and then we're going to name the page update.php, but ID is equal to user ID, and there we have the starting form. Now we can go down here and close the form, just so we know that the form's definitely here. So when we view the page again, click one of them, update information, record for that specific person, and then below here this is where the form will be. So what we'll do is we'll go back into the form and we'll do label for user ID, then the person's user ID label. Now instead of having a text box for the user ID where people can edit that, we don't want to hide it because it needs to, we don't want to disable it. So if we disable it, then it won't get updated. What we're going to do is we're going to use input type is equal to text, name is equal to user ID, value is equal to, and again we're going to use user ID, and again we're going to use hidden. Now the reason we're using hidden is we're going to use this input box here to update the actual database, but we're just going to put user ID here, and then we'll use a break tag. So now when we view this, user ID 1, And if we change that to 2, user ID is equal to 2. So that's us got the first part. We can either put a space in here, we can style it, we can do whatever we want to this. But we're going to just do another one. So label for is equal to banner ID. And then banner ID. See, we can even just put a space in here and then close the label tag. Then we're going to do the exact same, except we're not going to hide it. So type is equal to text, name is equal to banner ID, value is equal to banner ID. Now we have that, but we also need to do a bit of the validation. So on the first bit, if we're going to do some styling to this, then we might as well add our ID. So we can do ID equals user ID. And then the same one here, we can just put it in after name. ID is equal to banner ID. So after we've got this, we maybe want to add in a placeholder or something like that. But we don't actually need the placeholder as the form will fill out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do max length is equal to 10. And if we look here and click structure, the maximum length here is 10. So we keep that the same here. And then we have the value, which is here, and it will give the value of whatever we named or whatever we put into if we go back to here, whatever is in here will show up when we click this. So there we go, and we have the text box, so we can click that and put whatever we want in it, but just now we're going to keep it like that. And again, we're going to use a BR tag, just so it goes onto a new line. So we're going to do this for the next two, and I'm actually going to do this without pausing the video this time. So label for is equal to, and then the next one down is full name, and then full name label. So we have this, and then we have to do the input. So input type is equal to text, name is equal to full name with a capital N again, ID is equal to full name, and then we could use a placeholder again, but since information is actually going into this, we just leave that out. So max length is 25, as that's what we set on the database. And then again, the value is equal to full name. And then, of course, the BR tag. So the final one, label for equals age, age or your age, then input type is equal to text, then name is equal to age, ID is equal to age, and then our max length is going to be 2, and then the value, of course, is going to be the same, age. And then we're going to do 2 BR tags, and then when we edit this again, we can see all of them show up. We can't type anything else, no more numbers, no anything, and everything is here. Now what we're missing is a button underneath here. So what we're going to do is underneath here we're going to do button type is equal to submit. So when we click submit, it will submit this form with the action update.php !id equals and then this ID. So when we go here we can put ID is equal to, and we can call it whatever we really want to. I'll just put it as btn update, and then again name btn update, and then we just put some text on the button. So update the record, and then close the button tag and another BR tag. So when we open up our bit here, we'll see the button. Now if I click the button, you'll see it goes to update.php plus ID equals to 1, and we now need to make the update page. So what we're going to do is we can save that and then just open up a new page, and again we can just start with our PHP and save it as update.php, and again all types. So this page is just pure PHP, there's no echoes or anything like that, and we're pretty much going to do the exact same as we did for the update process, oh sorry, insert process. So we're going to do db username is equal to, and whatever you put as your username, and then we're going to do db password, which I don't actually have, and then db is equal to new PDO, so we'll do that, db username, db password. So again we're going to do MySQL host is equal to, and then localhost, and then db name is equal to PDO. So now that we have that, we now do the exact same as we did for the insert, where form is equal to post, and then we can do user ID is equal to form user ID, and then do this for the next 3 of them. So banner ID is equal to form banner ID, and then the next one is going to be full name is equal to form full name, and then age is equal to form age. So now what we have to do is we're going to update the form, but we have to use something different. We're going to use bind param, where we bind the form element to a specific variable. So we're going to do SQL is equal to update user info, or whatever you called your table, set user ID, which is the column we're using, is equal to colon user ID, which is the form name, and then banner ID is equal to banner ID, full name is equal to colon full name, and then of course we are going to use age as well. So age is equal to age, where user ID is equal to user ID. So once we have this, we're going to prepare the statement like we've done before, but this time we're going to use stmt as a variable is equal to, which is the statement, db prepare $SQL. Now what we're going to have to do is statement bind param, and then we'll use user ID with post user ID, and then we'll use PDO param int, which is an integer. So we've bound the value of this form here, which is a user ID form on edit.php. We bound that to this, and it's an integer, so that's why we use param int. Now we have to do stmt bind param, and we'll do the exact same again, except this time we'll do, well, I forgot the colon there, so banner ID, so we'll bind that to post banner ID, and then this time we'll use PDO param str for a string, and then the next two we're going to use a string as well. So for banner ID, even though we have numbers in it, it's still a string. If we used param int, then we would have to only allow numbers to be in that specific field. So we're going to use param str for that. So statement bind param, and then again this time we're going to use full name, post full name, PDO param str, and again we're going to do the exact same for age. So stmt bind param, and then age post age. Now we could use param int, but just to show you that it actually can work, I'm going to use param str. So now that we have that, it's time to execute. So stmt execute, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tell the browser that we want to go to the edit page. Now again we're going to use the header, and again we're going to use location. Now here you can put wherever you want the page to go. You can go back to the index page to see the update, or you can have it go back to the edit page. So for me, I'm just going to go to edit.php ID is equal to, and then user ID. So once we are finished, if we can just save that, oh, I've already saved it. Once we do that, it means when everything here actually updates, it will go back to the edit page and you'll see the forms updating. So when we go back here, okay, so I'll change these two to 444 and then click update. And as you can see, I've made a spelling mistake here. So let me find it. Prepare. There we go. So now I'll try that again. So change it to 444 and then update. And now on here, when I go to browse, this has changed to 444. So if I change it again, maybe I want to change my name. So I'll put in my full name. Oops. And then click update. And here that changes, so we know it definitely worked. And then when we refresh here, my full name shows up. So that's all for the edit page. Now in the next part, which should be the final part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the delete page. But to do that, underneath this edit form, I'm going to put in another form. So under here, I'm going to put a couple of break lines, and I'm going to add in the delete form, so that when we click a button, we're going to delete everything that's in that database where the ID is equal to whatever one we are viewing. So thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around till the next one. Goodbye.